Hey guys, long time no see or talk. Welcome to my new office. This is my sunroom of my house. I've got my sweatpants on because I've not changed that much. I got my iced coffee. My cat is lounging across from me. I got my daughter ready for school and dropped her off and did her hair and did her breakfast. And I am spending each day trying to feel this much better, a tiny little bit better. Um, If you were one of the people that have reached out to me, thank you. I really, really greatly appreciate that. I am basically going on right now to talk about everything. I guess it's been a little over a month since I resigned from the morning show, The Grand Green Show. That was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. And a lot of you reached out when you heard on the radio or saw the Facebook post that I was leaving. And a lot of you reached out and said, "Oh my gosh, kudos to you for being brave and doing this." And I appreciated each and every message. I did feel a little bit like a fraud because I didn't feel brave at all. I felt quite literally the opposite. So I want to dive into that. Want to talk about what happened, what's been happening, why I did what I did, and yeah, just that's what I wanted to do. So if you are somehow finding this video or podcast and you don't know who I am, my name is Jackie Blankenship. I have a stage name or an on-air name, Jackie Green, but my name is Jackie Blankenship. I'm Mrs. America 2022. I won November of 2021 and I was the queen throughout the rest of 2021 and all of 2022. I got to tour the country and do all kinds of cool stuff as Mrs. America. Kind of a dream come true. And maybe I'll do a different video talking about that experience. But I'm also a radio host. I hosted mornings on 105.3 Hot FM in Grand Rapids, Michigan for about 5 years. Um, Before that, I did afternoons. Before that, I was a television news reporter. Before that, I did afternoons on a different radio station. So I've been in broadcast in Michigan for a really long time. I am married. Obviously that's how I was Mrs. America. My husband's name is Jim. He's in a rock band and he works in cybersecurity. Kind of a jack of all trades. He's very good at things. I have a 7-year-old daughter who I had via gestational carrier because I can't have children. I was born with complete androgen insensitivity syndrome, which is an intersex condition. It's a whole nother podcast or video or whatever you want to call what I'm doing right now. Social media post. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Um, and about 1 month ago, I up and quit my job. And it kind of stirred a lot of controversy in my life. And I thought, after I left, I thought, wait a while, wait a month, give it some time, and then you can go on and talk about it because it was just too soon to talk about. Um, First and foremost, if you were a follower of the show and you loved our podcast and you loved our show, thank you. Um, it was nothing to do with Rachel, my co-host, and it was nothing to do with the station, and it was nothing really to do with work. And that was why it was so confusing for me and for people listening, I think, and for my coworkers. Um, I'm saying a lot. Can you believe I'm a broadcaster? Basically, if we want to go back to the beginning, I have struggled with anxiety and depression for a very long time. I struggled with it at a time when we didn't really have that diagnosis. We didn't know what, like, anxiety wasn't something we talked about. It was probably 2005, 2004 when I started really feeling off, not feeling myself, finding myself spiraling. I like to say I spiral a lot over things that really shouldn't work me up, but they would. I ran cross country and track on a scholarship, and a lot of times, like running, racing, the competitiveness would spiral me. I'd find myself like internally battling, feeling very, very jealous and competitive with my teammates, and also wanting them to be my best friends and my sisters. And that was feelings I didn't know how to handle. So I would spiral and get anxiety, and I'd be depressed, and I'd cry in my shower, and I wouldn't figure out what's wrong with you. Why do you feel this way? Why do you act this way? Relationships, I always struggled. Having an intersex condition, I constantly battled telling the whole truth about my body and my life with another person. And also intimacy, physical intimacy was very, very hard for me having this condition, which is something I can talk about another time because I'm not mentally or prepared to talk about that right now. Um, and then, as time went on, I met my husband, fell in love. We got married. We had Greenlee through gestational carrier. My sister carried her. And obviously that was a great experience and that was wonderful. And we have a beautiful baby, beautiful 7-year-old now. But the anxiety and depression didn't go away. It was always something causing me to spiral. And in my life, how I cope is finding a new thing, shiny thing, a marathon I'm going to train for, a pageant, anything, I don't know, work, and I would jump in feet first. And I would jump in and I would put my everything into it to avoid facing anything else that's in my brain. And I did that for a very, very long time. So we started the morning show in 2019. And that was a really big deal for me to move up to mornings and to be on with another woman, to be on with a good friend of mine. And I loved it. The first year, I mean, I loved it. It was my world. That morning show was my world. So, oh my God. I didn't expect to get emotional. That morning show was my world. I was so excited. I was so proud. I had never been more proud. And people would say shitty things about me on the message boards, professional message boards about radio. And it bothered me. And that would, but I didn't care. That radio mornings, I felt so proud of the show and what we were creating. COVID hit. We had to do the show from home. That was not easy. I know it was really hard on my co-host who had to do a lot of the brunt of the work just because two of us couldn't be logged in at the same time, uploading and doing the like manual work. So I kind of became a personality and I didn't really have to do much, upload the podcast, and that was about it. While she kind of was stuck doing a lot of the hard stuff. Fast forward to moving back into the studio, things were going good, but I slowly was getting burned out of waking up really early. And that was a struggle for me. And I know that sounds like, oh, waking up early, but to put it into perspective, 2019, we started in August and COVID hit by March. So I really was still riding off that novelty of, we have our own show, we're doing this. And so I would get up each morning and it wasn't a big deal. I'd nap during the day. My daughter was only like 3. Yeah, she was 3, only 3 years old. She wasn't in school. So I'd take her to daycare and I would go take a long nap, pick her up and everything. It was just great. I was riding off a high. And then COVID hit and I honestly, sleep wasn't a big deal. I slept all day. I got done with the show. I'd nap and hang out with Greenlee and my husband. I would wake up way later than I normally had to wake up for work because I was walking downstairs and rolling out of bed. And once we went back to the studio, it's like I never came back from COVID. I couldn't make myself get ready. I found that I had no desire to put a face on, to comb my hair. Sometimes I wouldn't even brush my teeth. I'd put sweatpants on, or more often than not, I wore whatever I slept in. And I got up, tired and messy, and I would leave. And I'd get in the car and go to work. And you can do that once in a while. And I think it's okay. I think everyone has those days. But when that becomes your norm, you don't care about anything because you're in fight or flight mode and you're just fighting to get through each day. So I wasn't waking up in time to go to the bathroom, have a glass of water, coffee, get ready, feel good about myself. I was just like rolling out of bed and I was walking straight to the car. That's what I did. I walked straight to the car, threw on shoes. Sometimes I would go in slippers because that's like the little amount of self-worth I had. I didn't care. I didn't care. They would tell me clients were coming in and I didn't care. I'd grab a pair of jeans and bring them with me. So I at least had pants, like normal pants on. And that is something that I can now look back on and realize that was my depression beginning. I didn't care about anything. And the show that meant so much to me for a good year and a half I didn't care. And it wasn't that I didn't care like it doesn't because it doesn't matter. I didn't care because I didn't care about anything. I didn't I didn't care about things. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about what I wore. I didn't care about what I ate. I had one goal of each day was getting home and laying on that couch until I had to pick up my daughter and then taking care of her till she went to bed and and then laying down. I wasn't talking to my husband. I wasn't doing anything. And my husband finally said to me, "You need to do something. I think you're battling some depression." And I knew I was, but the problem with depression is people want to know why you're depressed. Why are you depressed? You have a good life. I don't know. I don't know why I feel that way. I just did. I just felt horrible all the time. Horrible. So in 2021, I decided I'm going to try to do Mrs. Michigan America. And I'm going to try to do this pageant because I need to do something. I need to have I need to have something to prep for mentally. I want to get dressed in nice clothing because I liked pageants. I did pageants. I was gonna do my hair and makeup and yeah, try to do something that made me feel good about myself and maybe take pride in what I was doing. So I did, and obviously I went on to be Mrs. America, which was very unexpected. People always joke like, "Oh, you knew you were gonna win." I mean, they always say that, to the people that win big things like that, big races, you know, but I didn't. I can genuinely tell you I didn't, and I wasn't mentally prepared for the job. I wasn't. Mrs. America's been around for six, 70 years, owned by the current family for 48 years. We were televised on TLC for 20 years. It's a big pageant. It was really big. It was televised and hosted by Carol Brady from the Brady Bunch. May she rest in peace. It was a big deal. And I was not mentally or emotionally prepared because I was living my life secretly very depressed, laying on the couch, doing nothing. So I won and went home, and all of a sudden I had like a decision to make. You're going to be Mrs. America and travel the country and do these things, but you also need to I had to go do the show. The morning show. I had to be a mom. I had to be a wife. I had to do all kinds of things. So I found that I struggled doing it all. Like everyone says, "Oh, you can do it all. You don't, being a mom, you can do it all." You can. Some people can. I can't. I can't. I emotionally can't. And when, as a person with depression and anxiety, I can tell you I can't. And I didn't know that at the time. And it took a lot of soul searching to figure that out. So I go on and do Mrs. America. And I found that I had the mental capacity to muster up the strength to care about one thing. It took everything I had to pull up my boots and do the Mrs. America stuff, do the responsibilities I just won, do the interviews, put the hair and makeup on, give speeches around the country about intersex awareness because that was my platform. To go on appearances in fancy gowns and do these things, do these Zoom talks. It took all of my all of me to do it because I wanted to be back on my couch wallowing in like barely living because that was what I was doing before, honestly. So waking up in the mornings was hard, and I knew I was starting to let down my co-host and my friend who cared so much, and I was letting her down. I wasn't there mentally. And it was because I have mental health problems. I have problems. And you can ask me what's wrong. What can we do to make it better? There's nothing we can do to make it better. I have to make it better. I have to get help. I have to go to a doctor. So I got through Mrs. America, crowned the winner, and I thought, well, maybe now that that's done, I can find joy in work again, like when it started. Be like it was when I started, and I was so happy. I can find a new lease on life. But I remember I came back from crowning the new winner, and I felt exactly like I did the weekend before. I couldn't get out of bed. I wore pajamas to work. I didn't take any pride in how I look or feel or talk or what I say. I didn't find anything funny. Nothing made me laugh. I mean, you could say the funniest thing in the world and it was not going to crack a smile because I was numb and I was faking it a lot. And that sounds horrible and it sounds hurtful to people that are close to you when you say you faked it, like you were faking finding things funny or you're faking. People find that very hurtful. I wasn't trying to hurt anybody. That's not what I mean. I cannot help that I felt that way. So that went on about a year of me trying and not trying hard enough because I knew the truth of the matter was I needed to try medication or I needed to go to therapy again. Therapy was very hard for me. It opens a lot of old wounds surrounding my intersex condition, and I don't like it. Believe it or not, I don't like talking about bad things. So I basically decided to get on medication. And I'd been on anti-anxiety medication before. So I called my doctor and got back on. But this time it didn't work. Nothing changed. The first time I was on Zoloft in 2019 when I started the show, and it worked. I felt better and different, and the new show was perking me up and everything was good, but it petered out. I'd upped my dose and it just wasn't working for me anymore. So I got off of it. Well, I got back on Zoloft thinking maybe that'll do the trick. It didn't. So we upped my dose, didn't work. Lowered my dose, didn't work. We tried everything. 6 months later, the doctor said, let's try something different. So I got on a different medication. What did I get on? Prozac. I got on Prozac. I did Prozac for about 6 months. Same thing. We tried the dosing. Didn't do anything. Didn't do anything. I felt nothing, but I gained 28 pounds. That's what it did. And that was about it. And I still was like this. And my husband began to have conversations with me about loving me no matter what, but telling me I need to figure out what's going to make me feel better. And a big part of my depression was starting to stem from knowing I was letting people down and knowing that I wasn't myself. And waking up that early, not getting sleep, that's really hard, especially when you already are anxious and depressed. I mean, I was getting 3 hours a night max. Max. I was getting home late with my daughter, who's a competitive dancer. I was finally going to bed at like midnight or 1, waking up at like 4. It was a train wreck. So I finally had a long talk with my husband, and we came to the conclusion that I couldn't do this anymore. That I had to find help. I had to get more sleep. I had to figure it out because it wasn't healthy for me or anybody. And I knew he was right. I was coming in doing the show on autopilot. I wasn't being myself. I wasn't being funny. Nothing made me laugh. Like I said, I had depression. So I finally took the courage, the hardest thing I've ever done. And I can say that with everything in me. The hardest thing I've ever done was have that conversation with Rachel and my boss and tell them I'm not strong right now. I can't keep waking up and doing this. I need to be home for a while. I need to be with my family. I need to get Greenlee ready for school and do her hair and make breakfast, go for a run in the sun, not when I'm tired because I didn't sleep more than 2 hours. I need to try. I need to try to feel better because that's what it was coming down to. I wasn't trying. And I don't know what would happen if I didn't try. I know that sounds dark, but I don't know what would happen if I didn't start trying. I was scared that if I didn't start trying, I don't know what would happen. So my boss said that was fine and I could start a work from home part-time job hourly if I wanted to stay on. And I did. I wanted to be on the radio. So I said, okay. You know, my co-host and she was sad and I was sad, but she understood. I mean, what's she gonna do? She can't make me stay. So, and that's where we left things. And we spent 2 weeks before it was official doing the show like I wasn't gonna leave because we didn't tell anyone. And then I announced it the day before my last day and I left. So that brings me to today. What have I been doing last month? The last month, I have been sleeping a lot, but like real sleep. I go to bed at like 10 or 11 with my husband and my daughter's in bed, and I wake up at like 6:30 or 7. I get a full night's sleep, which that alone has kind of been a small game changer. I've not had the courage to go back into therapy yet, but I'm thinking about it. It's at least on my radar. I am trying to set some new goals, volunteer goals, physical goals, fitness goals, things like that. Um, I'm spending a lot of time with my daughter, doing her dance stuff, doing things, and I'm doing the show from home. I'm home a lot. Um, it's nice sitting here with the sun coming in, and it's nice knowing that like the weight of the show isn't there anymore. So if I'm having one of my days where I'm just it's not going to happen, I'm just in a bad place, I can breathe through it and know it's not going to directly affect my co-host and the show. So that's good. So that's where I'm at. That's my why. That's where I'm at. I'm here now. This is what I do. I don't know what I'm doing right now. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Talking to you even. Who am I talking to? Does anyone even listen? I don't even know if anyone's listening to this. I don't know. I just know I told myself at one point you will have a longer conversation than the 10 minutes on air, 8 minutes on air, and you got to do it by yourself, not with someone else, because it's hard to explain those feelings when your best friend's looking at you across the table. It's really hard because especially when someone else hasn't dealt with this or have a loved one that deals with it, like you maybe have a wife or a husband that deals with depression, you understand that they don't mean to be off acting. You don't mean to seem sad. You just are. You just are. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. I'm here. I'm alive and well. My daughter's doing good, and I'm trying to just take every day by day. And I'm hoping that sharing my story might help more people talk about their mental health. I always like helping people. I've always enjoyed sharing myself with people and the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's how I started my job, honestly. So talking about intersex and talking about those things, I like it. I like sharing it with you guys. I especially like when other people come forward and tell me, they're intersex too, like things like that. So yeah, I'm gonna try to share my story more. I'm gonna try to pop on more. I don't know if this will be a regular thing. I'm not saying I'm doing a podcast. I'm not gonna be that person that quit their job and is like, now I'm doing a podcast. I will say this is available to watch and listen to, and I will maybe make more of this. I don't know, maybe I won't. To understand your past, your present, you need to understand your past. And so maybe I'll do some episodes about my past and my future. Who knows? If you are still listening to this or watching, thank you. I've talked into the abyss for a very long time. I don't even know if anyone's listening, but I need to get out with my day. Next step for me, I'm going to go enjoy. It's very sunny right now on this particular day. It's got to be like 40 degrees. The snow's melting. It feels really good. The sun's coming into my face in my sunroom of my house. I'm going to go outside and feel the pavement under my feet and try to appreciate that I can do that. I can go run and do that and do these things. That's what I'm going to do right now. Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk soon.